Welcome to Ready, Set, Real Estate, where we will help empower and educate you on many different aspects of real estate, finance, and investing. Each week, we will expand your knowledge and uncover hidden truths. We will break down real-world scenarios and study actual how-to strategies. Anyone can buy real estate, but together we'll ensure you make smart real estate investment decisions. Now, here's your host, award-winning author, international speaker, and real estate educator, Lisa Gillett.
My. Happy Wednesday, beautiful people, wherever you are on this still phenomenal planet. It is still phenomenal. Yes, it is. It's cold here in Southern California. I had to turn my heater off so that way you don't hear the hissing of my fan in your ear. I realize my microphones tend to be sensitive depending which one I'm using for recording. So I will say and share, it's not that I'm hiding from you all, but I have not been able to figure out what is going on with my cameras. So we've reached out to tech support. Apparently, they've been really swamped, and I have not been able to connect with them so that we can troubleshoot what's happening with the cameras on our streaming platform. But interestingly enough, it works on other platforms that I use. So I think somebody's going to owe me some money for not being able to fully use this platform as I have been and as it should be. What do you all think? We'll be asking for a credit? Absolutely. Okay. So we are on episode 254. Wow. Where has the time gone? That's incredible. 254 episodes on real estate in the past. Now, gosh, we've been going 6-7 years strong. I think it's been longer. I've lost track because remember we were doing Shifter Thinking Tuesdays, and then I was doing Ready, Set, Real Estate on Wednesdays, and we had the Hugh and Lisa rants and jaunts show that's still also available on my YouTube channel, by the way. So if you remember some of the old shows, or you're new to me, there's a list of archive shows on the YouTube platform that you should check out at LA Super Agent. That's the YouTube LA Super Agent. So youtube.com/LA Super Agent, and that should get you to my playlist of past recordings and episodes. Lots of information there for you to check out. All right, let's see. Before, it's been a while, so I want to get caught up. It's definitely been a while. I have been working on my end. Believe it or not, I actually do have a job. I'm an active real estate broker and current law student. I'm out here doing my thing. I'm doing my part. So for those of you who are wondering, who is this gal and why is she talking about real estate? Well, broker owner of Devenio Estates. That's our boutique real estate firm here based in SoCal. And I am certified, trained, experienced in pricing strategy, short sales and foreclosures. And what is near and dear to me is working with the senior community. So I do hold the seniors real estate specialist designation. And all that means is that I do continuing education so that I can serve my clients with the utmost professionalism, experience, expertise, integrity, transparency, and I love it. I was thinking about this the other day. I shared with my husband, and I said, I absolutely love my work. Oh my gosh, it to a point where I feel like it's unfair because I love what I do. I've worked so hard to get my life and come to a state and place where a bulk of my business is referral. I still do marketing. We do have marketing systems that run concurrently in the background. When I say background, we just set it on autopilot. We set our farm and we just set that on autopilot while we also work with our network, right? Family, friends, past clients, and attorneys and other professionals in the industry. And I am so grateful that I have a referral business where people will reach out and call me based on the connection that they have or heard someone had a positive experience with working with our office and me. And right? Again, I cannot stress how grateful I am, especially during a time where there is continually a lot of real estate professionals who are exiting the business, who are leaving this business. So if you're new to this business, welcome, hang on. It's quite a ride. Yes, I got into the market in 2006 as a real estate agent. And at that time, it was like this. It just didn't make sense to purchase. And yes, things were slow for me at that time because the people I connected with, I gave them advice and I said, maybe you should wait until it makes sense for you. And I continue that to this day. Wait until it makes sense for you, despite what you hear in the market and with market conditions and interest rates and XYZ. The reality is life is happening for you. So, however life is affecting you and impacting you, you need to do what makes financial sense for you and your tribe, family, and network. Don't let the news tell you, oh, elections, oh, president this, we're at war, your rates, the Federal Reserve, all that. At the beginning, during, and end of the day, you've got to address what your current needs are and what your bottom line is, and look at your financial situation. Financial situations are just a snapshot of time in this time or in that moment of what's going on with you. So, needless to say, don't let it hinder you from still setting those real estate goals. Speaking of real estate goals, 2024, fourth quarter, we're in November. We've got 10 more days of November. How many days does November go to? Well, 10 more days. This is it. And then we get into December, which is the best month of the year, needless to say. My birthday month, of course. Best month of the year. I share with my son. I say, you can't get to next year without going through me. So I'm saying that here with you all. You can't see next year without going through me first. That's a December joke. 2024. One of the things I implore for you all to do, and you may have gotten away from this because of the pandemic and just life happening, you may have gotten away from checking your credit report. I know I have. And I realized this the other day. I think I got a message, and there was another data breach. We're living in the world of cyber, web, email, online. And so that has exposed us to a significant amount of security risks and issues. With that, I encourage you all to visit annualcreditreport.com. Check out annualcreditreport.com and be sure to check out your website. Let me drop it here in the comments below. So be sure to check your credit for free at the only government-sponsored website, pop quiz. Where do you check your credit report? At annualcreditreport.com. We are coming around to 2025 fiscal year, new year. Good time for you to start cleaning house or making sure your financial house is in order. So go ahead, check your credit, pull all 3 credits, and start to maybe see what's on there. And if things are approaching falling off, then, maybe you should let those things fall off. There's bad stuff. They'll sit on, collections will sit on your report for 7 years from the last date of activity on that particular account. If you are negotiating or settling debts, make sure that you negotiate that they update your credit report, or if you're paying for deletions or removals, make sure that they do follow through on that. If you have liens recorded against you, judgments recorded against you that you are satisfying, make sure that you are checking down at the county recorder's office and you're getting those items removed from your name. Even if you don't have property, it will affect you at some point. Ignoring it is not a strategy. All right. Ignoring things is not a strategy. That's not going to work for too much longer. All right. And I think that covers it for goals. What else is happening? I think that's about it. I do want to remind those of you, we give tons of value on this show. So be sure you press 1, let me know you're here, and press 2, lets me know you shared it. That helps other people get some of this real estate knowledge at free 99. Again, this is my give back and my contribution. This is my way of social impacting. We were doing social impact through Real Estate 100 Youth Foundation, and I'm in the process of dissolving that officially. And so wind up in dissolution. That's a whole process. If you'd like to connect with me about reviverships, winding up and dissolving entities, I can probably give you some pointers, but of course I'll recommend that you consult with the tax professionals and attorneys that work in those arenas to help your situation. I tend to be one of those persons who I enjoy knowledge. I appreciate experience. And because I'm also a law student, this is an area of law that I've learned. And so I am handling the process on my own. I don't recommend that you handle the process on your own. If you've got to do things like that, reviverships, wind up, and dissolutions, definitely connect with the professionals. All right. That is my take and spiel on what's happening. Listen, today we've got classroom style. Before we jump into the show on the rise of build to rent, we're seeing this across the nation. And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It depends. It depends on what side of the fence you're sitting on. So before I jump in and we really dig deep into this episode, we'll be right back after this sponsor break.
We know how challenging it can be to try and sell a home while also dealing with other financial and legal matters. We're here to help. Devenio Estates is the real estate firm you need to make sure your unique situation is handled as quickly and efficiently as possible. Our team of professionals has a combined experience of over 30 years in real estate, construction, and finance industries. As active professionals in the industry, we know the importance of timelines and pride ourselves in providing superior service without compromising integrity. We use industry software and copyrighted proposals so that our real estate agents submit accurate and complete listing information and buyer offers. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and set Devenio Estates as the go-to real estate firm for excellence in advocacy and superior services for our clients. Contact us today to learn more about our services.
That's a good commercial. So before I jump into that real quick, my son, so real quick, my son is working on a project, classroom project, and it has to do with launching. They had to come up with their own podcast, launch their podcast, come up with their script. And I love this. I love this for him because prior to the assignment of this project, he was able to attend one of my agent training sessions. I was part of one of the real estate conferences, and it was it was called Launch Your Podcast. We had 2 sessions. We had an intro session, and then we had an advanced session where I just laid out the tools for those of you who are do it yourself. I laid out the tools on being able to launch your own podcast. By the way, this would be a good time to invite you to check out or learn more about our publishing company, which helps you launch your own podcast. Duh. Hello. You gotta let the world know what's going on, Lisa. So visit livingpurple.co. That's our website. That's the publishing company that we use to actually launch our podcast. Let me see. When you visit the site, you pretty much will end up here at the website, and that will give you an option to book a consult. Consultations are with me, and you get a one-on-one. I'll help you set it up from start to finish, meaning your podcast cover, intro, outro if you need it. For those of you who aren't working with like a marketing team, or you've got an assistant who is resourceful, this is so that I can help you from start to finish. And I've helped people launch their podcasts and get them going. And the fun thing about podcasting is it really is your voice and allowing you to create a platform to share what matters most to you and to your audience. And this, again, from a marketing standpoint, is a great way to leverage the Google algorithms between Google and YouTube, which are one of the or two of the largest search engines that people use. Most people don't think of YouTube as a search engine, but yes, YouTube is one of the largest search engines that people are Googling and searching. And podcasting is a great way to get you, get your brand, get your presence, get your voice, get your products and services promoted and marketed in a way that you can control the narrative and the message, all while allowing you to cross, connect, promote with various industry sponsors and vendors that are in your industry. As you've seen, I've done for the last couple of years. I love this. This is fantastic. I get solicited, or I get inundated with messages from various people who are asking, can they be on the show? And you all know this. The goal of the show is information and education. It's not necessarily to sell you anything or upsell you on anything. Of course, if I'm offering something, I'm going to offer you something because, hey, that's the perk of having my platform. But I'm also careful to bring people on because I want to maintain the transparency and integrity. I don't want to water this down to be a platform where I've got people who are paying me to come on and then share how wonderful they are without any credibility, validation, or true authority. And that's important to me. That is important to me. So just wanted to share that with you for those of you who were wondering, like, hey, I've been watching or listening to you for some time, and I'm ready to take that leap. Yeah, go ahead and book a consult. And if you say you heard me on the show, I will offer a savings. I'll give you $100 savings off the price. And again, it'll cover you for a recorded session on how to get up and running and officially launch your podcast, including your first episode. All right, good stuff. Wanted to make sure we shared that. Okay, back to what I was saying. The beauty of having this platform is we can stay connected with what is the latest and what are the latest trends. So we're on 254, and the focus of today's episode has been this rise of build to rent single family homes. And for me, I'm torn about this because, and so I know I'm struggling even to say it because there is this thing with the rise of corporate landlords. If you've got the cookie cutter homes and the tract homes that are being built in subdivided lots to meet the growing needs of the shortage in housing. So it's double-edged sword, right? Those who have the resources and money, of course, is going to be corporate investment companies and developers who have the resources to build these communities, but it's not being built to meet the needs of home ownership, which again, you've probably heard me talk about this on the show that when we talk about home affordability or housing affordability, we really need to define that and put a context depending on whom we are speaking with and to. Because oftentimes we hear there's big political campaign and legislation for housing affordability, but that's not inclusive of ownership, of giving the people a stake in their neighborhoods, in their community, in their cities. It's not giving them a vested stake in ownership. It's giving them a rentership in those communities. So we do have Gen Z and baby boomers who are two of the generations and two of the largest generations that are being impacted with the housing shortages in major cities across the United States. And what's interesting is we have two things happening. We have renters by choice and renters by need. The renters by choice prefer to rent and enjoy amenities without the additional cost of maintenance. So this is interesting because I have run across those, and many of you might be that renter by choice where you're like, home ownership is a scam. If you're that type, if you're saying home ownership is a scam, you might say, there's no need for me to invest in property when I plan on retiring out of the country, or I like not having to pay the increase in property taxes over time, or the increase in homeowners insurance, or having to factor in 5% of the property value for maintenance every year. I like not having to deal with that. And that gives me a better opportunity in using my cash to invest in other things. I find that common under the crypto and stock investors who prefer to diversify their money in those investment vehicles as opposed to physically in real estate. And that's perfectly fine. Again, when I started the show, I disclaimed, do what works for you, despite of what the news and society and everyone else says. It's interesting because in the past, I remember watching a show with like I think she was like 25, 26. She had purchased a condo and she had been taking showers without hot water for about 6 to 8 months because she had a busted water heater and just didn't have the budget to get a replacement water heater after she had purchased a condo and likely exhausted her money in the down payment and closing costs, and then just managing the mortgage and the HOA fee every month. She had no funds for maintenance, ongoing, recurring, or emergency. Something breaks, guess what? You've got to fix it. So I get it. See, those stories breaks my heart because she mentioned, I jumped into real estate because I was told, I saw everyone was talking about it, that this is what we should be doing. However, there was the educational component that was missing to that. So if she was going the condo route, yes, there were some things during inspection and understanding what she's responsible for and what the HOA is responsible for, and making sure that in addition to her mortgage, she was going to be paying an HOA due every month directly to the HOA, and factoring in the maintenance costs. Not pointing fingers, not blaming. I'm simply stating there clearly was the educational component that was missing there that she had to find out after she had closed on the purchase of her condo. So those are the real stories, and And then you have people like her who end up being disgruntled, and then they start to talk negatively about homeownership as opposed to rentership. Then there's the renters by need. The renters by need are the folks that are really waiting for rates to come down. And there's a lot of you, which means because there's a lot of you that are holding off until rates adjust. And I'll say this, the sweet spot for rates is 5 to 6%. Anything below 5 is going to be golden. Anything higher than 6% definitely puts you at a more competitive place, because you're likely you're the few who's in the market purchasing at a time where rates are higher, which means when they do go down, because that's what interest rates do, they go up and they go down, just like prices go up and go down. So when they do adjust downward, depending how much further from the interest rate you secure, it wouldn't make financial sense to refinance at that time or at a lower interest rate. Now, do we have the crystal ball to determine when that would happen? No. So that in itself is a risky move. So if you are purchasing, make sure that the current rate or higher rate or negotiating buy down rates make sense for you. Make sense for you, and you have a plan put into place in the event that rates do not come down as anticipated, projected, or expected. That's all I'm saying there. I don't want folks blaming your team, your professional team, your agent, your lender, whomever you were leaning on for advice to say, well, they told me that when rates go down, I could refi and get a better rate. Yeah. However, there's some other factors you've got to consider, which is making sure that you're still employed, so that you can, refi. They're going to look at the numbers again, right? They want to make sure that the refi is substantiated by both the equity in the property, the loan to value, credit score, any additional debt, your ability to repay that loan. So those are things that are factored in. Am I a lender? No. Heck no, I'm not a lender, which gives me a reminder about the disclaimer. The information provided on this show should not be considered legal or tax advice. Please seek legal and tax advice from reputable licensed professionals. I'm a licensed broker, so I can talk real estate all day long. Loans, interest rates, conversational purposes, but it's not my area of expertise. So I do say defer to your mortgage broker, your mortgage banker team. There is a difference between the two. And if you've been listening to me for some time, you know the difference. That means you've learned something. You've learned a lot if you've been rocking with me from when we started. There's tons of gems I drop here. Okay, moving along in this slide, and then we'll wrap up, because I am going right. My goal is to keep it right under 30 minutes. And the renters by choice here, we have a couple things happening in the way the new builds and construction are marketing properties to the Gen Z and the baby boomers, and is letting them know they have full maintenance services. And this does offer that alternative option to traditional home ownership and apartment living. So instead, you get a single family home that you're renting, and it's in a gated community. It has full maintenance services, meaning you are not dealing with things that break. They are making sure that the community in that development are properly maintained and serviced so that you don't have devaluation in property. Oftentimes there's the stigma that those who are renters don't necessarily maintain or take care of the property. And that is why the conversation of devaluation of the properties is a concern. But one way the HOA, I would imagine, or the maintenance company or property management company is overseeing or offsetting devaluation is making sure that basically they're going to pass the cost on to the renters, and they'll make sure that they have people on site to maintain the property so that there are no issues with the desirability of living in those areas or communities with uh, uh, with an increase of renters in that area. So those are really interesting things happening. It depends, again, which side of the coin you're on in terms of, is this a good thing? Is this hurting homeownership? Is it happening? Is it helping homeownership? And I like to say right now it's filling a need, and that gap is housing shortage. We need housing. We're short those housing units, and it allows people a place to live. And I think it's, for those who are thinking homeownership, it gives them a good test run of being able to see what it's like living in a single family home and the amount of maintenance that requires. Especially if they are responsible for utilities, then you get to see kind of what your water bill, gas bills are like. And with the new construction, depending where you are, I know in California, new construction requires solar panel to offset the cost of the power being used to heat up the houses, and of course, just basically operate the house. And you may not be able to really appreciate the savings you are getting with having a property management company manage the home when you're renting. But I did recently look at a lease contract for someone who was renting a property, and oh my gosh, it was like 20 something pages. And a lot of it, which is interesting. So depending on what company builds the homes and is renting to you, there could be a lot that actually is passed through to you that you'll be responsible for, and you'll be paying that in the form of the rent and or additional costs. So make sure you're reading the paperwork so you understand what you are responsible for, especially when we're talking about quote unquote wear and tear and damages, like things like if they're including washer and dryer, you'll be responsible for leaks, and you could be responsible for a lot more issues as a result of leaks and damage to the property. So make sure you have good coverage, make sure you're reading those contracts and you understand what your responsibility is as it relates to renting those single family properties. You are going to be ultimately responsible for the paperwork that you sign that says you are, yes, the renter, and you are responsible for XYZ. And if you need someone to review the paperwork, those are services I do offer. I do charge a fee to review lease contracts so that you have another set of eyes or professional eyes to assist with that. All right. So moving along, and a wrap up. Nice. Ooh, right there. I was right there at 33. All right. This is my time. You all have been great. I've got a QR code for you. You can scan, check out more, learn more of what's going on our side. And if you need to reach me for any specific situation, real estate related, feel free to call or text me at 323-488-3265. Again, that's 323-488-3265. My email, this is my direct email, Lisa, Lisa, that's Lisa at lasuperagent.com. And if you don't have the QR code or want to scan the QR code, you can always follow me and learn more at lasuperagent.com. All my handles are there, lasuperagent.com. You all have been fantastic. Have a fantastic and productive week. We'll see you next week on another information-packed episode right here on your favorite podcast. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Ready, Set Real Estate Podcast with Lisa Gillett, the LA Super Agent. Please like, subscribe, and share LA Super Agent